Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we are going to see an interesting topic that is one of the QA productivity tools which might help you to save your time or to make it faster for your automation testing. Okay, and that tool is called as selectorsHub. So we will be seeing some of the interesting tools or the productivity tools or the productivity ways to make our things better, in addition to the automation tools, programming, the framework designing which we were seeing. Okay, so we will be going to see some of the interesting features of the selectorsHub, or I can say that the frequently used features from the selectorsHub, and also there are certain things that will make you to do your task faster, or some of the things if you haven't really aware of that, you can learn it from here so that it can help you to even mastery in your automation testing. Okay, so let's quickly go into the Chrome Web Store. Now this is basically selectorsHub is a tool that is an extension to the web browser actually. So you have to go to the Chrome Web Store and then you have to search for selectorsHub. Okay, and then you have to select this first option. You have to go here. Because I have already added, it is saying remove from Chrome, but for you it might be showing as add to Chrome if you haven't installed. As simple as that. Once you have installed, go to any of the web application of your choice. I will be using this for our demo, and you will be right clicking as usually you are doing an inspect. So you can inspect it. Now basically this tool gives you all the features or all the tasks that you need to do to identify your locators, as simple as that. But then there are a lot of things that is underlying behind this locator strategy or fetching the locators that we are going to learn today. Now you can see that you have to go to the elements, and then in this tab it is not visible, so you can see that the new selectorsHub is coming here. So what you can do, you can even drag it to the beginning also. For an instance, you can just do like this and you come back here. So every time you open your inspect element, right, you will be seeing the selectorsHub as your first tab. Okay, fine then. Now let's see that what is exactly the features that it is saving our time. And for this I have listed down the 10 different features that I felt is more frequent for any kind of automation tester, and then how it is helping. The first thing that came to my mind is that it reduces the thinking time. Now what is thinking time while locator identification? Now the first thing is that you need to recall or like try to identify different patterns, actually recall the patterns, the XPATH or CSS selector. If it is ID, name, class name, you can straightforward get it from the DOM, right? But XPATH CSS selector, there are like hundreds of different patterns or syntaxes are there, right? So either you have to put it into a notepad and then you have to search it based on the need that you are looking for. But selectorsHub gives you an out of box option where into this text box here itself only to kind of evaluate those XPath patterns, and also some kind of auto suggested options as well. And if you don't really require the auto suggested options, you can even turn off this one. You can see that. Now you can see simply I will be going here and I'm clicking on this username, and you can see that it gives you the XPath, CSS selector, jQuery, lot of different options it is giving, or different patterns. Now based on your need you can get it. Okay, so you can see that you can simply copy this relative XPath it is searching, and you can come to your whatever the editor that you are using, and you can use it. Now this particular pattern, right, for username identification, you can use it in any kind of automation tool that you are using, irrespective of Selenium, Cypress, or WebDriver IO or Playwright. You just need to append whatever the methods specific to the automation tool. Not just this simple XPath or CSS selectors, but you can even evaluate a couple of the patterns. Like for an instance, let's say that I want to identify the second row, second column. Now what you can do, you can come back here, you can go to the selectorsHub, and you can see that there are a couple of options. Now you can simply select one of these options and it is giving you some CSS selector. Here you can see nth child. Now what is nth child? Now nth child is nothing but to get into your child elements or the sub elements from there. Like you can use here, like if I want to go for a simple CSS selector, you can go here ID equal to, you can say table 01, and you have to put it into a single quote here. So here you can see, so it is identifying, and then you can give a space, and here you will say t body. Now you can see t body is 1. Now you can go here and you can see that now tr means 3 it is going, right? Now if I put it, you can see that it is giving me the auto suggested. Let's say that you just able to recall that, okay, I need to put a colon, but after that, what is that? Do I need to go for first child, last child, nth child? Now those things you don't really recall at that moment. So that's where it is giving you the options. So it is not an easy way, but it is also expanding your thought process, that what are the possibilities that you can identify the locators. Now that is what I really liked this particular tool. Okay, so now the second thing is that it is saying that add any custom attribute to your locator identification. Now what is this custom attribute? Now if you go to this application, right, let me just close this, and here you will see that all these things, whatever it is identifying, let me go to this, or maybe this button, okay, a simple button. You can see it is giving name, value, all these are like very known attributes, right? HTML DOM's own attributes only, but you can have your own attributes as well. For an instance, what is that? Let's say that your developer added a particular custom attribute to all the browser elements. Now that's where actually these days a standard is that for any kind of application, to just avoid the ID, name, class name, because that tends to change actually in future, or maybe your developer might change it. So for that, what exactly there is a best practices the developers use, they give a custom attribute, and that is specifically meant for identifying your locators only, so that will not be changed by any of the developers. For an instance, like I will show you this, you come back here, you can see here ID, name, all these things are very regular attributes, right? But you can see there is something called as data-test. Sometimes people put it data-id, custom-id, some kind of like these attributes. Now these don't have any specific requirement actually from the application functionality standpoint. This is only specifically for the automation QA engineers only. So let's say that there is a rule that in your automation team that you need to use this only, but here you will see that it gives all ID and all those things. How do you really set it up, this data test? Now you need to have your own, right, without having the selectorsHub. Now that's where actually the set attribute, you can see set attribute, you just need to click on this. See, as you click on these things, right, it turns out to blue. Now the other things are in orange color. So blue means now here you can see you have a text box, an extra text box is coming. Before it wasn't there, it was simple. So you click on this, enter attribute, you simply give that data test or whatever it is there, click on enter, you come out of this, and you can see that you are getting this input data-test. It is not taking the regular ID, name and all those things. Same thing, if you go to your password, you can see there is a data test attribute, and if you go to this login, you can see data test equal to login button. You can simply copy this one, you come back here and you paste this. Okay, that will be easy for you, so you don't really need to type it of your own. And you can see that it is also suggesting a kind of a indexing wise also. Okay, now the third thing is that automatically append the tool specific locator identification methods. What is this? Now for this, actually let me show you that. See, whenever you are copying anything, right, what it does like this, right? But let's say that for your, let's say Cypress, actually now you want to say that sci.get, and then you have to give the XPATH or whatever it is there. Let's say you have to give this one. Okay, now how do you really deal with this? Actually now you have to always append this one, right? Now all the elements, first you need to do sci.get, and then you need to do this, and then copy that XPath or CSS selector, come back here. Now for this, what you can do, you can have an option here. You can see that set driver command to append the selectors. You click on this. Now you click on this, and you can see that there are a couple of pre-suggested options it is coming. Okay, you can see driver.find element. I think in a real-time framework nobody uses the driver.find element, but in case if you are trying, you can use this. Or let's say find by. I think Selenium, most of the people are using page factory pattern, sci.get. Okay, and if you are using Python, so all these things, like for an instance, let's say that if you want to use your what do you call the page factory, normally you need to use a lot of different options, right? I mean, like this, you need to specify it. Now for this, which is very tedious, right, you have to type all these things and then you have to copy paste that. Now that's where it is giving you a good option here. Now you can simply enter this and you can see all of your locator identification changed like this. For an instance, let's say login, and you can simply copy this, and let me delete this, and then you paste it, and you can see it is coming properly. Find by CSS Selector. You don't really need to think about what would be the proper option for this. Now that's where I was telling that your thinking time is reducing by not wasting your time into all these things. So it sounds very generic, but then when you really want to have a lot of identifications on your web page, that's where this is really making a reasonable amount of change or saving your time actually. So that's what it is good. And you can have your custom actually. For an instance, like in my framework, I always use this way actually, by XPATH, and then I do this actually instead of doing any one of these things. So what you can do, you can simply put like this, and you can put XPath value and you enter, and you can see that all these things you can get it right away, because I use a custom click and send keys commands. So that's where I always take this by locator into my page object instead of using the page factory. So that's where it is helping me. Okay, so now see all these three criterias, right? Basically it is reducing the possibilities of identifying the test scenarios. Let's say that you don't know how to identify a particular locator, so you might be thinking that okay, how to really proceed with this. Now that's where it is, that thinking time it is avoiding. So it is expanding your thought process to kind of proceed with your automation test cases or identifying the locators. Okay, so now the next thing is that you can even go with the bulk locator identification. See, so far we used to simply go into this one by one and then fetching it, right? Let's say that I have these three locators, I want to fetch it at once actually. I don't want to copy paste individually. So for this you have an option. You can see that here, click to generate locators page and multiple selectors. Click on this. Now you can see that it is into a recording mode. Now what is this? Now see all the setting, all these things you have done, like you are adding this data test, you are adding this by data test option, and then that the by.xpath. Now I will be selecting this, and then you go here and you can choose one by one. You simply choose, don't copy paste actually. And now you can see that it is appending one by one as a grid. Now you can simply click on this option, copy this, and then come back here into your page object. You can simply put like this. So this is one more way you can do that. Okay, now you can see that the next option is that inspect the element with respect to the another parent element. Now this is again another interesting feature. Let me show you that. Now for this actually you need to go to this access option actually here, and you can see that it gives you two options here: inspect the parent, inspect the child. Now for this, let me go to another option here. Let's say that I want to go somewhere list items, let's say. Okay, now here I will go to the access, and here I will be clicking. See, now inspect parent is now highlighting, right? So you can simply move the cursor here. Let's say you want to go with this. Now it is, you can see the cursor or the highlight changed to the inspect child. Now I can simply go and put like this, and you can see that it is giving that option. So it means that UL, that is the parent, which ID is my group, and here you can see that the list item 3 is a kind of a subchild of that, and here you can see that it is giving that. You can simply copy this option here and then go back here and then paste it, and you can use this. Okay, so that is how you can do the parent child relationship. Okay, fine then. The next one is that error handling or the syntax handling. For an instance, let's say that you have got a failure into your test case while running, but you are not sure what is wrong in that, because you know the ID or name is correct, but then the syntax is incorrect. Let's say that. How do you identify? See, there is a interesting thing that I want to mention here. Your double slash, and then I will say ID equal to, and I will say that table 01. Now you can see that it gives you 00 options. It means that there could be two options, right? Two possibilities. One is either your syntax is incorrect or there is no element located. But let me show you here, and then I will show you what exactly happens when I give here this one. And you can see that it is giving a very common errors actually that it could be. One is invalid XPATH. Why invalid XPATH? Because see, I'm giving a double slash, but I'm not giving an @ that's where actually it is giving. Check the syntax and spelling, so that at least you can identify what is the problem with that. So there is no problem with not having that element into the DOM, rather it is the problem with me only. Or for an instance, let's say that I'm going to this, or let me just identify this one. Now here I left this one, and you can see that it is saying that close square bracket is missing, which is a very basic syntax missing, right, that we are doing. But if I search this one here, right, it might not be giving you that option. Here it is simply giving 0, because it has a different way of identifying the locators. So that's where you can identify the error handling or the syntaxes also. Now the next one is that also it helps you to identify the shadowDom, iframe or SVG elements as well. Now these are the three interesting specialized web elements which nowadays the modern web applications use it. shadowDom to isolate the stylings, iframe to isolate a kind of it will have its own HTML structure, or the CSS. SVG is also an advanced option where you can have the graphs and the charts and everything. Now to identify these things, right, the basic way, like for an instance, let's say that I want to go for this shadow. Now because it's a demo application, I have shown this as shadow root, but you might not able to identify that in a naked eyes. For an instance, let's say I'm going here, and then I'm going to the here. Now you can see if I'm just searching, it searches as usual, but when I'm trying to search this, you can see it is giving you in shadowDom. So that's where actually I liked this feature actually, where it is trying to tell you, boss, it is inside a shadowDom. You cannot simply take these particular locators and use it right away. For that probably you have to use this particular command. Let me copy paste it, and you will see a kind of a pseudo code actually they are giving for you to kind of see that how to handle that. See, the text box that I want to put some action is this one, but then for shadowDom you really need these many lines, or maybe fewer lines without comment or without weight, but still you need to understand that, right? So this particular tool reminds you that it is inside a shadowDom. Even it detects when you have a nested shadowDom inside a shadowDom if there is an iframe. For an instance, let's say that if I want to inspect this, you can see it's a basic text box, nothing fancy in that. But when I am going into this category, right, it is inside an iframe. Now that's where it is giving you an option that this is inside an iframe. You probably need to switch or do something, and you can click on this link to kind of navigate for more documentation. So that's where actually it gives you more information out of the box, so that you don't really worry about the failures. Because if this error would not have been given here, probably you will be coming into failures, so that, and then you have to debug, you have to come back here, and then you have to identify that this is an iframe, because you have to scroll down to make sure that it is inside an iframe. But here it is giving out of the box. So it is simply fetching from this DOM and trying to identify by going above to its parents and trying to see that if it is inside an iframe or a shadowDom. So that is one of the good benefit of this. Okay, fine. Now the next is that identifying the elements, menu options or loaders that dismisses faster. Now this is again an interesting scenario actually. For an instance, there are a couple of applications where if you want to highlight anything, right, or if you want to inspect, you can perform that action, but then it dismisses actually. Let me show you that. So let me go back actually. Let me close this one, later I will open it. Let's go to this. Actually this is a Zoho application. Now if I go here, right, you can see it's a simple menu option. There is nothing fancy in that. I will simply go and inspect, and then you can see when I'm inspecting, right, it went away actually. I'm not able to capture those things, though it is giving these options, but I don't know if these options are coming or not. For some of the web applications, even they don't give these options. If it is invisible while you are moving the cursor out of this, you can see out of cursor, it won't even display here also. Now in that case, it is very peculiar to kind of identifying these options. So for that, what you can do, you can freeze this particular options while you are identifying. For this, there are a lot of options you will get into the your Google search or anything. They will say that here you can simply say debugger, and then you can right click run, and then you will be popping up this one, and then you can freeze your screen actually, so that you can come back here and you can identify. Now all these options are a bit tricky to do that, right? So selectorsHub has a dedicated kind of option. Like for an instance, if you go to this, turn on debugger, okay, you click on this and you come back here, wait for a moment, and then you can see that your screen is frozen actually. Okay, and you can come back here, you can simply go into each options. You can see including your list, it is also helping you to highlight these options. Okay, so that is one of the good option. See, normally what happens when I'm clicking on this option, right, it waits for 5 seconds. Why? Because I have set that up here actually. If you see that debugger start time in seconds, it means that if I click on this button, it waits this much amount of time to freeze your screen, so that you have an option to kind of come back and perform that action. See, now I have given 5 seconds. It means that I'm turning on this debugger, and it is giving me 5 seconds to perform this action, so that I can get the pop-up. Now that's where it is coming. Some scenarios you can, like if I go to this option, here is a jQuery option. You can see that I'm clicking on this button and it is going. It is not even waiting for 5 seconds. See, this is where I want to display this permanently, but here I don't have that option to wait that much amount of time. By the time I am turning on the debugger, coming here and then capturing, it is dismissing there. So it means that I need to do all these actions beforehand. Before that 5 seconds only, I want to freeze it so that I can capture this particular loader. So for this, what I can do, there is a good way to do that. I'll just come here, inspect it, go to the selectorsHub, and then what you can do here, go here and you make it as 2 actually. So it means that it will just wait for 2 seconds after you click on this debugger. Let me show you that. So turn on that debugger and click it, and you can see that it captured. Now you can simply come back here and you will able to capture all these things. So like for an instance, you can simply go inside this, you can see here, and you can see the loading option is coming. Like for an instance, let's say I will click on this, that loading option is gone. So this is what I was telling. Sometimes if that loading is not coming, it won't even display. But fortunately, it was giving here all these options into your elements. So that is the way you can control the time also. Okay, to kind of see that for some loaders which might be faster. So at that moment, you can click on this turn on debugger, immediately take that action so that your loader will be turned on, or it is appearing on your screen, and before it dismisses, your screen will be frozen with this debugger. So that is what one of the option, you can capture those immediately disappearing elements. Fine. Now the last two things are not really the features, but then I wanted to highlight what kind of scenarios that it is also saving, and you need to keep it in mind. So the reduces the rework and failure analysis time. For an instance, let's say that your test case failed and then you want to debug that, so you will spend some time after it executed, and then you need to rectify the code and then rerun the test cases to make it pass. Now in that case, right, it takes some amount of time, right? So for before to that, if you would have avoided these things, right, these improper locator strategies or using those improper locators, then you don't really need to go through these particular steps actually. So that's where I wanted to highlight this option, that see, locator is one of the important thing, but it doesn't mean that all the failures are because of the locator. Maybe like you haven't given the for loop properly, you haven't given the break or continue properly, if conditions are not proper, even those cases. But then this is where actually there is a tool which is helping you, so why not we can use it. So that's where I wanted to highlight this option. Okay, now the last but not least is that avoid test failures across different browsers. Now what is this? See, now what happens, cross browser testing, most of the people are doing the cross browser testing, right? Like let's say I want to test this login across multiple browser types, your like Chrome, Edge, Firefox, everything. Now there are certain elements, the locators are not similar for all of these what you call web applications. Let's say that couple of ways it is implemented for Chromium, where your Edge or Chrome will be having the same locators, but if you are executing the same test cases into the Safari, it might not be executed. There might be some differences into the locators, but you don't know, you would have executed the same set of test cases for Safari and the test cases got failed. Now what I would suggest, one of the feature of the selectors are where it supports in multiple browsers. I use Chrome frequently, so that's why I have shown go to the Chrome store and install, but then it even supports into the Edge, Safari, and also into the Firefox. So I would recommend whenever you are going for multiple browser testing, right, whatever the locators that you are using in your framework, it is one-time effort. You can install the selectorsHub in multiple browsers, the different types of browsers, and just evaluate once by using this particular inspector tool. And if it inspects properly, then your test cases will execute. It means that at least the test cases will not fail because of the wrong selectors or the locators. So that's what I wanted to highlight. Okay, so I think that is pretty much it. These kind of what you call features that the selectorsHub provides, I would suggest to go and give it a try if you are not using, and then explore all these options. So hope this particular session is helpful and it would save some of your time. So that's pretty much it for today, and we will be seeing some more interesting productivity tools in our upcoming session. So stay tuned and do subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.